1, 2, 1, 2. All right. We are going to start in few minutes. So hang tight, people. We are getting there. Almost there. 2 minutes. Get yourselves here and sit down or stand up or don't do stand up, whatever. Let's start in few minutes. Ei kauhean hyvin kuule tätä, kun vaikka ton päällä. Mutta aika lähellä. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, welcome. All right, that was a little bit too dramatic for me. Anyway, welcome everybody. And this is, again, fantastic seminar by fantastic sponsor tonight. I'm Jonne Harja. I'm not the sponsor. I'm the lead coordinator of the IGDA Helsinki here. And one thing before we start about your Wi-Fis. Actually, you don't have to put them off this time because we have a brand new set of microphones. Actually, Maxine got these for us, so that is really amazing. So everything will go perfectly today. Nothing can go wrong, right? But that's enough of me. I'm losing my voice, and there's way more interesting people today. I'm still waiting for them. I don't know if they're... Oh, okay, enough of that. They're here, and I'll give my... I'll just step away and let these people do the talking for now. Thank you, welcome. Here you go, Milla.
Thank you. So, is it too loud? Good, yes. So my name is Milla Pennanen, and I'm the coordinator of Game Makers of Finland. And, okay, good. So welcome to this IGDA gathering, which is sponsored by us. And this event will be streamed in our Twitch channel, but only us will be filmed there, so you are safe, don't worry. And this will be later on showed in YouTube, in our YouTube channel, so you can check it later there on. And also all those 2 people who are following our stream right now, welcome. What? Yeah. But when we start the panel, if you have any questions, just raise your hand, and Jonne is lost out there. He will bring the microphone to you, so you can ask anything you want. Only easy questions, please, though. And tonight we have also some of our services here. How many of you have already took their photos in our photo booth? 7. Nice. Oh, good, good. But then also we have a career coach, Veera, and she will help you if you have any questions about how to apply for a job, or you have your CV, you want to check it out, or applications, you want to apply a job. She's there to help you. And Veera and the photographer are there until 8 p.m. So you have enough time after this also to go there and enjoy our services. And I have my cue cards here, because otherwise I can't remember what I have to say. So next, yeah. And also the Game Makers of Finland board is here. You can recognize us with our lovely pink hoodies. So we are here, and also our panelists are here after the panel. So if you have any questions, you can say, hi, I have a question, and we're here for you. Yeah? Good? So, Sami.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Sami Vuolanne. I'm the Vice President of Game Makers of Finland. Tonight I'm assisting Milla here in the panel, and we have an interactive session today. So you can actually join this session with your mobile phones. We're using Mentimeter, and we are going to show you questions at the same time as we are asking them from the panelists, and you can actually join them and tell your opinion on those. You can download it from your favorite app store or use the browser, and there's the code you need to log in. For your privacy questions that there will be, actually even we will not know who are answering what. We just know what is on the screen, and we are not sharing this information to anybody, that only that is on screen and streamed to worldwide, but other information is not shared with anybody else. So feel free to join and tell your opinions.
Yes, good. Thank you, Sami. And about our panel tonight, it's all about the situation in game industry in Finland. And we made a survey last year, and we asked about how you feel things, about your salaries, work times, stability, and other quite interesting things. And we're going to talk about that today. And we got almost 200 answers last time, but we're going to make this survey again in this year, and I hope that we will get 1,000 answers or something like that. And I hope that you all will join that. And yeah, Sami, it's your turn.
Okay, I was late with this one. You were too fast, but sorry about that. You want to say something about this first?
Well, okay. So about the survey, we made a portrait about typical game maker. And I don't know if any of you will say that, hey, that's me. But a typical game maker is 33 years old and has a bachelor's degree on computer science, has a full-time job, works and lives in capital area, is a developer artist and earns 3,800 euros per month. Is anyone here who says, hey, that's me? Yeah. Oh. So remember to answer when we make the survey again at the end of this year.
Okay, for starters, let us know who we are better, while Milla is checking with the panelists who they are. Please tell us who you are. Where's my...
Yeah, so now it's time to get your mobile phones and... What? Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. So now get your mobile phones and go there, use the code, and put the company name there. And now, let's introduce our panelists. Let's start here. Oh.
Hello, yes, wonderful. Hello everybody, hello the two people on the internet. I'm Häll, or Helli. I'm a teacher at Metropolia at the moment. I'm also a student at Metropolia, third year student at the same time. And we started a small startup 2 years ago. I think LinkedIn just told me that I had a work anniversary. And yeah, I think I'm here. I'm also doing a lot of IGDA things, so you might have seen me around here a few times. People usually remember that bald guy walking around. But I'm probably here because of the educational side of things. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Mariina Hallikainen. I am actually from Tampere, so I did not recognize myself being or assuming that everybody's from the capital area, but there is game development outside of the capital area, so, you know, apply to Tampere, woohoo! The beer is cheaper there. And I work at Colossal Order, I'm the CEO, and I guess I'm bringing some kind of point of view from the employer point.
Hello, I'm Koopee, Hiltunen, and I'm the director of the Neogames, which is the hub of the Finnish Games Industry. And the reason why I'm sitting here is that we have been following the Finnish Games Industry since 2003. We have been making some studies about the Finnish Games Industry. We have been around for a long time, and that's the reason why I'm trying to give, as an old man, I'm trying to give some perspective what is going on at the moment and kind of compare it to the history also.
Hello everybody, I'm Jenny. I'm a 3D artist at Sulake. I studied at Metropolia, 3D visualization, and maybe my perspective is that there are not like that many women still. It's getting more even, but it's still not even, so maybe I can bring a perspective to that, like how it's like to work as a woman in the very male-dominated industry. Hi random internet people, nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Well, I think now it's time to give huge applause to our panelists. And now just take a quick look about the companies that we have here now. Yep, that was quick. Good. But now let's start. So we have 5 topics, and the first topic is education and training. And here are according to our survey, 80% of game makers in Finland, they has an academic degree. That's quite big number, I think. And Koopee, I'd like to start with you. You have made the study about Finnish game education, and you know in how many schools people are studying games. Would you like to tell something about that? What's the situation now?
Well, basically, the situation is far better than it was like 21 years ago, when the very first game education, very fragmented game education took place in Tampere University of Applied Science back in the 98, 97. The first actual game education in Finland started in 2004, 2005. It was in Kajaani. Is there somebody from Kajaani? And it was also in Outokumpu. Kajaani always wins, that's what I remember. Yeah. And after 2010, I guess that it was due to the huge success of Angry Birds, the educational institutions started to actually develop more and more game education. And nowadays we have around 60 schools, 50-60 schools which are offering game education at some level. In some schools it's only short courses like 1 or 2 weeks, or what points do you have nowadays, you youngsters. And in some schools it's far larger or far wider. It might be 160 educational points or whatever they are. So basically providing enough skill, almost enough skills to get through the games industry job after the education. And at the moment it seems to be that we have a lot of game education going on, but the problem still is that it's not connected to the actual game development companies as well as possible, as well as it should be. And on the other hand, it's hard to compare different game educations in the Finland, because they are so different in a way that some are offering just some courses and some are offering the full table of skills for the students. So that's basically the situation in Finland at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Mariina, what do you think that how important is the education in this industry?
Well, I mean, if we look at the industry in Finland, it has been so that the education has come a little bit later than the Finnish game companies, right? So it's the education, in my view, is kind of lacking behind even in the game sector. I feel that education it's always extremely important. I have to say that the programmers I have employed who are educated in the university level, in Tampere we have a great school, Tampere University of Technology, that I also went to, so I'm maybe biased in this regard. But if you think about, for example, programming, the theoretical background that these people will get from the university level degree will help them so much in the game development, because it is something that where you have to actually apply a lot of knowledge. We are developing games, we're developing technologies that are the future. So there has to be a lot of theoretical knowledge. And I feel that one of the concerns I have for the Finnish education is that we have too low quality education, and then we have a lot of people graduating from schools that are not up to par what us employers are looking for. So this is something that concerns me, and I do feel that in the industry we have kind of learned that there's a lot of people who have studied themselves. I actually just employed a person from Italy who is one of the modelers of City Skylines, and he has no background in any kind of computer science education. He is completely self-taught. He used to be a waiter in a restaurant, and now he works with us as a programmer. But that road is so difficult. It is unnecessary. I think there is extreme value in going to schools that provide good theoretical background, and then you learn how to apply knowledge and will be able to go not only to game industry but some other industries as well. So when you're choosing the school and thinking about what kind of education you want very strong foundation that you can apply to most of the industries in Finland, for example, or in the world.
Do you know what are the expertise that is mostly needed right now?
Yeah, I like the phrasing foundation, because that's what the education is. It's foundation for ability to learn more when you are actually working in a company. So that's what the education is. When it comes to the games industry, we are actually going to publish a study about the issue, our own study about the Finnish games industry. We do it every other year. And we ask the companies what kind of people or what profile of people they are willing to hire in the future in next 12 to 18 months. And the answer was basically that we want to have all kinds of people. We need community managers, we need programmers, we need graphic designers, we need game designers, we need a lot of people with different profiles in the games industry at the moment. But of course, what is in the core of the games industry or in the core of the game development is always those three things. So it's designers, it's graphic artists, and it's programmers. So those are the core kind of things which are around which the whole games industry is created.
Then Helli, you're a teacher in Metropolia.
Allegedly.
What are the challenges that, as a teacher's point of view, you have?
Well, there's quite a few. First of all, there's a good example he gave about this fella from Italy. I say gaming, IT to a certain extent, but gaming and I assume film is one of those few kind of vocations where you can get to or into even without having, without going to the proper schools, if you just have the passion, if you put in the hours, which is in a way a problem for the schools, because then, you know, if you can get to a job without going to a school, some people are going to be like, well, why would I need a school? But that's another issue altogether. One of the big things is something I think that the teachers have very much in common with just your everyday regular devs, is that then that technology moves fast and sometimes stupidly fast, and it's a lot of work to kind of stay on top of things and just know the current things that come and go and what to do, and even more work if you want to stay on top of the waves, sort of know what's coming and what's the current trends and everything. And teachers, much like devs as far as I know, are expected to kind of just learn these things and stay on top of everything. And that's a lot of work, and on top of your normal work and your hobbies and your personal life, to do all of that. Now granted, there's a certain amount of hours allocated for this, like paid hours per semester. And I wasn't going to say any numbers, but I think transparency is actually good, so sorry about that. Transparency is good, so it's about 40 hours per semester. And if you think about it, let's do a really rough cut down of a semester. It's about 8 months with some rough rounding. So that's about, what, 5 hours a month, which isn't that much. So that's a bit of a problem. The way it's done now is that these teachers, most of us who are doing this, are kind of interested in it anyway. So they'll probably be doing and reading on it anyway, but then they're doing it a little bit on company or school time and all their own time in a sort of perverse business pleasure mix. And that's one way that is gotten around it, but it is a problem, and it's one that keeps growing and growing because technology goes in an exponential kind of way. The other kind of bigger problem, I guess, is that universities are a little bit rigid, is maybe the best word. They're not exactly known for being agile and changing their course every month or every year, or maybe even every decade. So if you come up with a new software or a tool or a method of teaching, there's a couple of things that have to be taken into account for. A, you guessed it, money, because everything costs money, and sometimes it's difficult for a certain department to justify we need this more than those guys, because every department needs everything all the time. And then B, if you come up with any of those, you need to have the staff for it, and then the staff have to be taught to use this tool or the method or whatever, so that they're comfortable and knowledgeable enough so that they can teach this or use it in their teaching. And that takes, again, money, and even more than that, time from the teachers. So there's quite a few of these issues to work with in schools. But at the same time, I don't know, I find it really interesting. Universities, for example, compared to primary schools and high schools, because they have this, the Ministry of Education has this called opetussuunnitelma. I think it's like plan of education is a literal translation. Curriculum, I think, is the correct word, which they have to follow. But universities have complete autonomy to a certain extent. Okay, the ministry still holds some reins that not every school can teach the same thing, because you have to do other things. So we can't end up in a situation where the University of Applied Sciences teaches game design, although that would be a beautiful world. But unfortunately, we don't have that. Or, I guess, fortunately in a way. But that means that the universities, whereas the primary schools and high schools, they have these clear guidelines to follow. Universities can do kind of what they want, which means that their direction lies solely on the shoulders of the board and the leaders of the schools, which, if they are in the know and they're interested and they use experts and research to study and know what to do, is really good. Everything works. It's bloody peachy. But if they don't, or if they don't really care, or they kind of don't understand the situation, you end up in this kind of what I call benevolent dictator situation, meaning that if you have a small nation with a dictator, but they care about their nation and their people, and they try to make the nation prosper and take care of their people, then it's really good for everybody there. But if the person in charge doesn't care about the people or the nation, they just want more power and more money in their pockets, then everybody's kind of screwed. And before anyone goes on Twitter, I'm not blaming any teacher or any leader of any school being a Stalin/Mussolini. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there's a lot of responsibility on a few people, and we're all human, so we can't do perfect decisions 100% of the time. And the last thing I'd like to add is that, like you said, that education is really, or you both said that education is really important. Study after study has shown that it helps every nation in many ways. It helps get the gender equality, helps the population live longer and healthier lives. It helps prosper peace, all kinds of positive things I'd assume all of us want. And a tiny nation like Finland, we don't really have other options than to shine with our education, because we can't compete with industry, we can't compete with raw numbers, we just don't have the critical mass for that. And I can tell you that I see this, and I assume it's the same in other schools, that in Metropolia we get these teachers year after year, and there's potential, there's a tremendous amount of potential there. But it sometimes feels kind of like a bit of a waste when we can't give them all the guidance we should be able to, because there's too many people and we don't have enough time for everything. And I hope we could do more. Sorry, went a bit long there.
Thank you. But now we have to ask from an ex-student, Jenny. You studied 3D in Metropolia, and now you're working as a 3D artist. So where would you be now if you haven't studied?
That's actually a really good question, and I'm kind of happy that I didn't have to see that live, that I actually did study and did end up being at Sulake. But I definitely agree with you guys that education is really good foundation for this kind of career. And I've seen people who are just like really insanely good at what they do, and they push through like no matter what, like they study alone. But it's a very rough road. It will hurt a lot and it will take very long, but it's something you can do. Like it's possible to get somewhere without the education, but it will make your road a lot smoother and maybe give you more security and more confidence and maybe a broader perspective on like not just 3D, but like life in itself. So I'm definitely very happy that I was able to study at Metropolia. But I guess most of my personal dreams have been kind of academic. And one option I seriously considered was actually that I could like do layouts for books. That may sound a bit weird now that I think back to it, but yeah, I find personally very hard to imagine myself not doing some kind of academic thing, because I really enjoyed my time at the uni, and it feels very hard to think my life without it.
If I may add, I do feel that from the employer and company point of view, education is key. It's very rare that a person without any kind of education will get employed, especially because when you think about the education, there's so many group works, and game development is all about teamwork, right? So you have to practice that also. And I do believe that nowadays, like when I kind of referred to the people without any kind of education, this was time before there was any available. So at Colossal, for example, we've been around for 10 years. We have a lot of people who have education background in the uni for computer science. So not actual game development studies, but relevant education that applies to what we're doing. So I would say that it's extremely important that if you're pursuing a career in the game industry, get an education. Just pick the school very carefully that it's good quality education.
In the end note, I guess this might be the end note for this topic. I would like to say that it's not only about education, it's also about the active learning. So education is good if you are kind of willing to educate yourself. if you are actively learning, if you are doing things, learning by doing is the way to learn how to make games. And there is no education in this world which would benefit any of you if you don't want to learn. That's the point. That's I think that it's one of the key points. We are always discussing about education like it's like some kind of miracle cure for things, but it's not. It's about you. It's about your will to learn.
Exactly. And now, this was the end of our first topic, and now it's time to vote. So, we're asking, is education important in game industry? Pick up your phones and go to that menti that is there. So, oh, nice. Can you panelists see that? Yeah? Yeah. So people are voting and we see it like live there. Yeah. How many answers we have there? Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Most of you think that it's, yeah, maybe, but not necessarily. Like, yeah, kind of what you think, or?
It's like life without beer. You can do it, but it's very hard.
Okay. 81 answers. Excellent. Thank you. So, yeah, still coming. Wow.
People know how to download apps. Great.
I think that the one thing is that it is the significance or the meaning of the education, or it is different nowadays than it was like 5 or 10 years ago, because now there is more education available. And if you think about typical games industry employees in 10 years ago, I guess that most of them didn't have any education, at least not in the games industry. But it has changed. It has changed because there is more education available, and people are more willing to have the education actually.
Yeah. Okay. So over 90 answers there. Good. So let's continue. We have the next topic, and it's salary. We have some facts there, according to our survey. So, do we get paid enough?
Well, I sure as hell do. But I have to say, I have to comment. I do believe that there's a bit of for the salaries, at least in the Tampere region. I don't think we can meet these kind of average salaries. It is significantly lower that we have in the at Colossal order, and I have to say that obviously we are doing something right, even if we're not paying that much, because not many people actually leave the company. So I do believe that there's a point that salary matters, and then also the projects you're working on, and how great your boss is. I believe they are all staying because of me. But it's really something that I think what you all need to consider when it comes to salaries is that how much you're worth to the company, and what can you do to improve your own personal situation. And I think one of the key things is that you need to make sure that you just test it out, that what are other companies willing to pay for you. So don't feel too tied up in one company. And this might sound really stupid coming from a CEO of a company, but when somebody says that they are not happy with their salary, it just means that they haven't seen what other options they have. And there's been I have been advised that I should be changing the job every 5 years, so that I can make sure that my salary is actually so that I can get the best possible salary. If I'm just staying in one place, it's not like the company will completely free, like, oh, you probably deserve a raise. That's really rare. But when you actually do make it a competition, your company that you're actually working with might be able to match that salary request that you have, or if they don't, leave. Go somewhere where they are paying you more. You don't have to stay in one place. And I think that's one of the things that in the game industry, it's very rare that people actually shop for the job. And for example, in the software business, it's very common. People are changing jobs all the time to get an improved salary. And I think if you don't do it, it's kind of stupid, to be honest.
Yeah, and our survey showed that the salaries are 300 euros higher here in the capital area than outside this area. 300 euros, but of course the living expenses here are higher also.
Yeah, let's see how many Colossal Order employees are knocking on the Helsinki company doors after this, but I'm willing to take the risk.
Yeah, I guess that if you talk about the salary, the capital area has always been highest paying area in Finland. And there is actually 4 things which are affect to the salary or which are significant when thinking about salary. It's the location of the company. It's the let's say establishment level of the company. It's the employees' working years. So are you a junior or are you a junior? And to some extent, it's also what are you doing. So if you're a programmer, graphic artist, designer, if you are working in the management position or so on and so on, all those affect to the salary levels. And then there is of course different kind of company benefits, which might be in some cases quite significant for this kind of success fees or bonuses or extra holiday fees or Himalaya leaves, as they call them. I have never had one, by the way. And this kind of stuff which might also be significant when it comes to the salary. And this all should be considered when you think about what is the composition of the salary. It's not only about money; it's about other things also.
And it's also about the project. What do you want to work on? If you want to go and work at a startup where you're creating something completely new, you can't expect the salary to match an established company. So it's up to you that what is important. Is money the most important thing? If it is, you have to find a place that pays you the salary you want. And if you're not getting it, then you have to figure out what's the performance you have. How can you improve it to get more money? But it's also. But I have lost an employee. One of the guys resigned because they wanted to start their own company, and I knew that they would take a significant pay cut. But they were just like, "Yeah, I'm done with city builders. I want to go and work on something of my own," and that's totally cool. I mean, you should do what you love, and then figure out about does the work make you happy? How's your salary matching that? So it's about a lot of things, and also as Koopee mentioned, the benefits. Many of the game companies have significant benefits. At Colossal Order we have our own gym, we have all the sports stuff, and really cool incentive bonuses. Basically, depending on the performance of the products we're working on, people are getting bonuses based on the sales of the game. Things like that might not show up in a salary per se, like in a questionnaire like
and
this.
our next topic is all about benefits.
I jumped the ship there,
Yeah,
didn't I?
thanks.
Sorry.
But no, but if I may ask from Jenny, that when you applied a job in Sulake, how did you know how to ask the right amount of money? What did you do?
That's the one question I really hate the most, to be honest.
Yeah.
When they start asking what's your expectation, I honestly really hate that question. But I sort of had a general grasp because of quite many of my friends who also work the industry, so I kind of knew what they were getting, and I kind of tried to evaluate what's my level and how badly do I want the job. Do I take it at any cost, or do I want to look myself in the mirror later? But yeah, it's a very difficult question. But I sort of had an idea of the baseline, and I sort of tried to place my words in such way that this is something I would be expecting, but this is something I will also negotiate on because I'm really interested on this. But this is my general expectation.
What do you think about?
I'm not sure if it helps anybody, but usually I don't say a specific number. I say a range that I would be happy within this range, and then usually they reply if they think the same or if they think that they have a different idea of it.
Pro tip: if you are changing the job or if you are applying a new job, one way to getting the salary actually up is asking the full leaves. So you get the full holidays from the year one. Usually in Finland, if you in the first year you don't get holidays at all, but actually if you can get full holidays like 4 weeks plus 1 week, it's actually 1 month worth of salary for you also.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh, you want to add?
I want to add to this salary thing. One more thing is that I hate people who don't know how to answer the question, how much money do you want for the work? It's so annoying when they apply and it's like, I don't know. It's like, well, you're the one who should know. And I will pay you as little as possible. If you apply, I will pay you as little as possible because my job is solely about making the company as profitable as it can be. And salaries are an expense. And the smaller that is, the more profit the company makes. This is simple math. So you should consider that when you're applying to Colossal.
But what do you think about? Oh, yeah. If I say my question and then you answer whatever you want, yeah. So,
Sure.
what do you think about people who say that I don't need any salary, I will work for free? That's a student's thing too.
Well, yeah, that's actually what I was going to get to, but you want to first have a go?
Well, why would you work for free? Are you like, yeah, you can.
Yeah. Well, that is
It's
a
not
very
so
good question.
fun.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Why would you work for free? But a lot of students, ICT students, when they do internships, usually do get paid some sort of, not a full salary, but they do get paid a salary. But as far as I know, in the gaming, when you're studying gaming, about half of the people do not get a paid internship because gaming, again, a little bit, I'm making akin to film industry, is for a lot of people a thing of passion, so they're willing to suffer for that. And I would be very interested to hear what kind of tips do you have for these people, like for internships, and have you had internships? Have you paid for them? And if not, and like what kind of advice can you give to students about this?
Well, basically, at Colossal Order, we don't pay for interns. We don't pay for interns. If you want an internship, it's a huge risk for the company. We're so small. Colossal Order is 24 people at the moment, and interns always take a lot of time. So it's not beneficial for the company to take an intern who will take around 3 to 4 months to get into the actual job, and then they are probably worth some money to the company for maybe a month or two. But what we do try to always consider is that we only take interns that we feel that we can employ after the internship is over. And for example, currently we don't take any interns because we don't have any open positions that we could fill after the internship. So that's something that I feel we're kind of the good guys in that sense, that I never consider taking an intern and getting anything profitable out of them. It's really unfortunate in a sense that I do feel that they are there. They get the benefit that they learn. We get the benefit that we can test out the person for 6 months, figure out if they're a good fit for the team. I think around 70% of our interns have been employed by us, so I think that's a pretty good ratio. But for the internships, I think this is something also that is changing. That when there's enough competition, we're gonna, well, in a sense, like with everything in business and capitalism and everything, it's all about the supply and demand. So if a company needs workforce, they will have to pay for it. So in that sense, if an intern feels that they are, or a student feels that they are really worth money for the company, you can seek for an internship that actually pays. And then figure out the benefits. And then there was somebody saying that you would work for free because it's fun. Well, that's cool for you, but I mean, come on, we're working because we're trying to make a living. So if you have hobby projects, that's completely different thing. But if you think about a startup, if the startup can't pay you salary, you have to have some sort of deal. Like you have to get ownership, you have to get some kind of bonus, some kind of promise that you will get money out of it eventually. Why would you ever use your time for somebody else's pure benefit? You have to be smart about it. It's your responsibility. A corporation is not evil because they want, it's because they can.
Yeah, I guess that one point of thinking this thing is very philosophical. If it feels fair to you, do what you do. If it feels fair, do it. But if it doesn't feel fair, don't do it. That's very simple in a way that if you have a feeling that I'm oppressed or I need something more, then you should consider if you should find another way, another venue of doing things you want to do. But if it's fair for you, and if it's open in a way that you openly see why you are doing this, why the employer is paying to you, you are happy with the employer, so that's your choice actually. This is in a way free country, in a way.
Good. Do you want to add? Yeah.
Yeah. It just came to my mind that we actually had this discussion recently at the office that is it like morally acceptable to take interns if we cannot pay them, and people were very biased about it. That we couldn't like really find a solution yet if it's morally correct or not. But I personally kind of think that all value isn't really money. Like if you're really at the beginning of your career, like somebody who can recommend you and they have a good reputation, it actually can be worth its weight in gold. If you can, like, if the project is coming out soon and you can get your name on it, like I'm not supposed to say that work for free, but sometimes it might be worth it, but it really depends. And I think you people made an excellent point that it's yeah, it's on your responsibility to think about, like, is this thing worth doing to you? But I think my input is that all things probably shouldn't be measured in money, especially if you are like really young and you can get your name on a good project, or you can get a powerful recommendator or something like that.
Yeah, and you make a very sorry.
We have to move on. So
one really quick thing, because when you're an intern, you're usually a student at some establishment, so you have student allowance, so you have some sort of income that it will lead to your graduation or something. Then it might be beneficial. But you know, free that you don't have any income, don't be stupid, guys.
Yeah, good. And now we wrap up this topic too, and it's time to vote again. And while we're voting, you can say something if you want, hopefully. But
hell no!
Yeah, that's not an option. So, yeah, should salaries be more openly discussed? Hell no was this, yeah.
Well, I find it extremely beneficial for me that I can negotiate everybody's salaries without them actually knowing the other person's salary, so I don't have to pay as much to everybody, you know.
Yes. We've had this discussion a lot at school. A lot of people who go, especially the internships, the ones that get paid, there's a lot of discussion about like how much do they get, the other person, so they can kind of, it helps all students, because then when they go and negotiate for internship and possibly get paid, it helps a lot to have some sort of, just like you said that you had friends in the industry, helps a lot to have some sort of basis to go on. I firmly do believe in having transparency, but then again, I do not run a 24-person company, so you know that might be a reason.
I'm really surprised about this. 60% says that they should be transparent to everyone.
I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, actually, I have to say that Colossal, when we started, we paid 800 euros to our owners and 1,000 euros to our employees. So we have come a long way from those times, like in these 10 years. And how we have the salaries now, it's completely based on your years of expertise, how long have you worked in the industry, what your position is, do you have leadership responsibilities or not. So they are very, very even in the sense that for the same position, you do get pretty much the same amount of money. So it's not that. But for me, I do feel that it is a personal thing in a sense that it is something that, as I said, that I hate people who don't know how to ask for money. It's like I feel like they don't even deserve to get any if they can't ask for it.
Good. But now let's continue. Well, bad. No, but we have to now move on. And our next topic is benefits and work culture. And here is this lovely box of boxes. We asked about the employment benefits in the companies. 90% said that health insurance, they have that. That's kind of a legal thing that you have to have in a company.
Well, actually, you have to have accident insurance that is regulated by the law, and then I do believe that most of people might have understood that there's a health insurance that is actually during your free time, and also if you have something for like that you can visit a specialist doctor, for example. So that's a benefit. But of course, all the companies in Finland do have the basic accident insurance, but of course.
Do the benefit?
It's also occupational health care, työterveyshoito, whereas there is a wide variety what can be inside occupational health care. For some, it's even expert doctors and opticians and everything like that. But for some it's only the very basic stuff.
Yeah, but are the benefits important? What do you think?
Of course they are.
But
Yeah, I was just going to say, because you were talking about the earlier thing about the benefits like that. It's not just the salary. Sometimes benefits need to be counted in. And I used to work for a Swedish IT company, and I was in sales. Being completely honest, I did not like the job, but the people and the benefits were good enough that I stayed there for about 2-3 years. And so I do think the benefits can definitely make a massive difference. At least in my case, it was so big that it just felt foolish. Well, salary was decent as well, but like all together as a package, it felt foolish not to stay there for longer until I was just like completely done with it. So maybe we actually would have been healthier to leave earlier. So take that how you will.
Yeah, Koopee.
I remember back in 90s, I changed the company because the previous company didn't want to give me Nokia communicator. And that was the sole reason why I actually changed the company. Because they said that, no, you don't need a Nokia communicator, you are good with that Nokia, crappy old Nokia 3100 or something like that. And then I called another company and asked them, okay, what is the salary? It was around the same as I used to have. And then I asked, do I get a communicator? And they said, definitely yes. And I'm coming. So that's that story about the benefits. Actually, the benefits can make a difference for a company. And it's not only about the benefits, it's about the working culture, it's about how good you feel, how stressed do you feel, what kind of boss do you have, what kind of co-workers do you have. For instance, something like snacks and fruits, well, I don't eat any of them, but if you, for instance, free beer, I would be willing to change the company. If it's a good beer, artisan beer, something like not kind of cough or something like that. And these kind of things, they actually make a difference in some cases, because those are the quality of life. It's not all about the money. The quality of being is not all about the money. It's about how you feel. And if you feel better in one company than another, even if the salary levels are the same, it's no-brainer.
Yeah, and if you have to kind of think about it when you're comparing the actual monetary salary and then the benefits on top of it, that how does it apply? Because if you think about the exercise and culture vouchers, that's 400 euros per year that you can get tax-free. If you think about that added to your salary, you kind of get a huge benefit from the exercise and culture vouchers. We share those to our employees, and we always hope that they choose exercise over movies. They don't, but it's fine. We have our own gym, and we nowadays also go play paddle, which is very cool new
paddle?
Yeah, it's like tennis and squash combined.
Nice.
Very cool. And also the fruits and snacks. We don't offer beer at the office. We have a rule that there is no beer in the fridge, but we have like soda and kombucha or something. Somebody asked for like kombucha or coconut water, and I decided that kombucha is the, choice, obviously. I don't get people who drink coconut water. But anyway, the benefits are something that you have to consider. And I actually have been talking a lot about how work and job should feel, and you should enjoy the work you do. You should love it, because if you think about the amount of time you spend at a workplace, if you don't like your job, it makes you miserable. Why would you do it? Unless they pay you like boatloads of money, you might be able to cope with it. But it's also about something that we at Colossal have been thinking a lot about, that how can we make our employees, how can we make our team feel better and enjoy the work? Because let's be honest, making games sometimes it's really hard, can be super shitty. There's deadlines, there's things that don't work, then you have community that is like, I don't know, threatening to like kill you or something like that, which is horrible. And then we just have to cope with that. And then we might go and drive rally cars on ice for a day because it makes us feel good. And that's something that all the companies should try to figure out the best work they can. So the benefits really support that.
Nice. So now we move on to the voting again. But you can still talk when we're doing this. But now we're asking that, which would be the most important value when you're when you choose between two dream jobs? It's missing few words there. What of these three would be the main thing for you when you choose a job? Koopee.
Well, one more thing. If you want to get a high salary, there is a couple of places where you can get a very high salary. If you go to the West Coast, USA, the salary level is very, very high compared to Finland. It used to be so in UK. I don't know what is going to happen with the Brexit. Probably they can't figure it out. But the story is that if you go to the West Coast in UK, for instance, it basically means that also your expenses are going to be very high, because there is no social security or that kind of stuff, which is extremely good in Finland. We don't see it when we are in Finland, but every time I have seen somebody coming back from USA, they have been telling that it's actually they are saving like $2,000 or $3,000 every month because of childcare and that kind of stuff. And that's in that sense, if you think about this about the global scale, we also have to consider the Finland as an environment for game developers to be.
To add to that, I've actually not going to name any names of people or companies, but I know people who work for HR for different game companies in Finland, and they've told me about these situations where because we have a problem in Finland, we don't have enough Finnish people to fill all the positions, so we got a lot of people from abroad. So when they've talked for especially US-based devs, and when they talk about first the salary, when they talk about the salary, the people are like, okay. Then they talk about the benefits, and they'll be like, okay. And then when they just start talking about, like, there's overtime is always paid, it's not expected, and then people are like, wait, what? Is that true? What? Is that even possible? Is that legal? So yeah, it's definitely, these are things that are not shown always in the salary, but they are extremely important.
We have to remember that in Finland we have excellent laws that protect the employees. So, oops. I mean the employees. But if you think about the work time, the vacation days, everything that is like legally applied in all the companies, all the jobs in Finland, it's actually really good compared to the global scale. So you can always expect that you can accumulate a summer vacation. I personally know a case that was offered a job in the US, and the vacation time yearly was 2 weeks. 1 week in the summer, 1 week in the winter. The salary was super high, but if you think about the fact that you have to work, and the work time was expected around 10 hours per day. So if you work 10 hours per day, and then you get 2 weeks in total of vacation. And if you think about as a Finnish person, we're so used to having the 4 weeks off during the summer. And I have to say one of the things that annoyed me so much when I started, I'm coming outside of the game industry, mainly because when I started as the CEO, I was 23 and I had 0 work experience anywhere except at McDonald's and bakery. So, but the thing there was that some people were asking like, so how is it like, have you had time to take any vacation yet? This was like 2 years after we started the company. And I said that of course, because that's something that we assume that needs to be there, and we have been taking the summer vacations from the start. Because when you do schedule projects and everything like that in Finland, you take that into account. Then there's the other thing, how you explain this to a US customer, that we're gonna expect you guys to pay for the game during the 4 weeks in the summer and nothing is happening. So we work with a Swedish publisher. They have even more vacations than we do.
That's good to hear. But now we have to move on again. And oh, I'm losing my voice now. Sorry.
That's okay, I can talk.
I've noticed. But yeah, the next topic is, well, work time, Mariina. You can really continue about that, because we asked about work times and they were really nice results. But when you started Colossal Order, you're really famous now about your comment about those sleeping mattresses. Would you like to tell something about that?
Well, I would hope I would be famous for something else, but I guess this is the story that people will remember me from. So basically when we started Colossal Order, we were 5 people, 4 devs and I. And 2 of the guys brought these like air mattresses to the office, and they were explaining like, oh yeah, we're gonna work 16 hours and then we're gonna have a couple of hours of sleep and then continue working. And I told them that they will have to get rid of the mattresses or I will take them outside at the parking lot and burn them. And I told them that you're gonna work the normal hours, then you're gonna go home, meet your family, sleep, take a shower, eat, and then come back to the office refreshed and able to work. Because I do firmly believe that no person, I know there's probably a lot of devs who have this flow, right? You probably, yeah, I can't stop programming, it's too important, I'm in the zone. I don't believe that at all. Like, as I have been running the company for 10 years now, I see that people who have this flow thing, it's always so that they get so tired after the flow. So I'd rather have my team working 37.5 hours per week. And we do have some flexibility. We have the, which is legally allowed, it's the ±3 hours per day. So if you are in the zone, it's okay to work for 30 minutes more. And then, you know, come in a little bit later the next day. So you even it out. But to have like 16 hours, let's be honest, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna be sloppy, and then we're gonna be fixing shit ton of your bugs. So don't work like that. It doesn't pay off. Is this like, okay, I'm done, mic drop.
Yeah, that sounds really good, and you should be proud of that. Yeah, we all should be, I think. But Koopee, you have something?
Yeah, I think that crunching is inevitable. Sometimes it's inevitable. I firmly believe that sometimes you are in a situation when you have to crunch, because the world around you is changing. There might be a delay in the launch date, or there might be something like that which causes you that sometimes you have to work. But you don't have to. It has never been in the Finnish games industry as a custom to kind of try to get a maximum crunch, or there has always been a tendency to avoid the crunch. And I think that is one thing which is very different in the Finnish games industry compared, for instance, to UK, where I have heard horror stories about people who have been working in the UK game companies like 18 hours for 18 months or something like that. But we have never had that kind of glorifying the crunch thingy in the Finnish games industry.
Well, I do disagree with that because I do feel that crunch is a weakness of the leadership. It is inability to schedule projects, take into account setbacks, and that's something that sometimes we have to work harder, but basically to plan projects too tight, that's something that management should be able to avoid because they should be the ones anticipating these kind of risks, and that's about professionalism. And I do also feel that there has been quite a few war stories where people have been like crunching and it was the best game ever, also in the Finnish industry, and that was something that set me off really badly when I started 10 years ago. I actually came to the Helsinki IGDA and I was talking to a lot of people, and there were these like demo scene stories. And some of those were from the professional environment. And I do feel that there has been a significant change to a better in the last 10 years and in the last 20 years. That it's not only young, passionate developers who are in the demo scene, they have no families, they are in their 20s. Of course, at that point, you're going to be fine working 24/7. But when you start to get a little bit older, you might have relationships, family, hobbies, something else you want to also do in your life, and you start to kind of grow up, let's be honest. And it's something that I do feel that the Finnish game industry is growing up, and crunch is not, as even the questionnaire shows, that over 60% feel that their work time is suitable. And I do feel that there are times that are more relaxed, and then there are times, like for example, before a game is going out, there's a lot of things to do and it requires a lot of focus. But there is the thing that I feel that at Colossal and in my work, it's extremely important to take care of the team so that they can work even after the project is over. So I'm thinking always one project further. And I have had a fight with a developer because I said that their work was good enough and they felt that they still need to do a lot more, and I told them to stop and told them to go home, and it was quite a mess, but now everybody's used to that at the office, so they just quietly leave, which is fine.
Good. Now it's time to ask from the audience again. Oh, yeah. So we're going to ask you about crunching. And while the audience is voting, Helli, do you want to say something about?
Yeah, I was actually just like,
shortly.
Dear Lord, I hope all students would hear that, because no matter how you tell them in the beginning, in the first week, okay, this course is 7 weeks, at the end of the week there's a project, there's a presentation, there's something, start thinking about it, start working on it. Let's be honest, all of you who's been a student, how often did you leave it to the last few days? Yeah, exactly. Probably everyone has done it. And I guess that's something school should get better at, but then again, school is also a good place to fail in a safe way, so you can learn that, you know, crunching is actually horrible, because how often have you made a really good presentation or a project or anything like in the last 2 days or a week instead of like doing it in pieces? So yeah, I do agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, Koopee, but now there's 1% says that it's necessary for the industry.
Yeah, but
So
the kind of Mariina reminded me about the one thing. It's the smallest difference which can be seen by anyone else but you. And this comes to the creative work. If we have a creative person doing something and actually doing it constantly over and over and over again, at some point there is no difference in your work which can be seen anybody else but you. And that's when somebody should step in and say, as you said, it's good enough. It's good enough, not anymore, because there is no difference which is visible for anybody else but you after you have been doing this like 40 hours and you are willing to do it 80 hours more, but nobody notices difference. And I think that this is pretty much about one angle to the crunching is that people are very ambitious about the things what they do, and they want to do it over and over again until nobody sees the difference anymore.
Yeah.
I still have to add, because the opinion of crunching it's sometimes okay if compensated. I do feel that there's a difference between crunching and overtime. Overtime is something that is agreed upon. I as a boss may come to you and say like, okay, our Swedish friends forgot to mention they need these assets for marketing material. It's like 1 hour before the end of our workday. I would assume this takes like 2 hours. Would you be willing to do this one favor to me, stay 1 hour later, and you will get 1.5 times your salary, as overtime is compensated? But I do feel that crunching as a phenomenon or as a word always means the kind of expectation of working really hard extra time without compensation, and it being, you know, kind of a silent agreement. And I think that's the thing that is definitely wrong. Happens globally, happens also probably in Finland sometimes, less than before, I believe, and in professional, proper game companies should never happen. Overtime is a different thing. It's always agreed upon.
And now we actually agree about this after a little bit of conversation.
Good.
That's the way how things kind of develop when you discuss with the people.
We have now peace here and no fights coming, so thank you. But now we have like 10 minutes left, and our last topic, which is about companies and stability. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't know anything about that.
But in the past 6 months, there has been at least a couple of really tough situations in different game companies. But nevertheless, people feel really stable. Yeah. That's yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about game development, it's really volatile. It is the nature of the business that you make a game and you can't know if it actually succeeds or not before actually some people buy it or don't buy it. So it's really game industry. Actually, if I could choose now, I probably wouldn't work in the game industry. I would be running Caruna. But the thing is that the stability comes from long-term planning. It comes from professional management figuring out what is the next step after the next step. So I do feel that there's a lot of Finnish game companies that have long-term strategies, have really good financial backing, they have investors. We don't have any, we just made a game that sold really well, so we don't need them. We feel very stable in the business, but I do have to say that of all, like comparing to other businesses, I do feel that game industry is quite fickle, and that's something that we have to, as industry professionals, prepare for. And I do feel that it's quite nice that people feel so confident about the work they do and the companies they work at based on this questionnaire, unless all the answers came from Supercell.
Jenny, you want to add?
Yeah, well, I don't know if my opinion is biased because Sulake is kind of really well known for their stability, and while I've been there, I've noticed that that's really true for them. They are very, very stable and they're a very steady company, and it's a joy to be there. But actually, before Sulake, I've been in a startup and I've been a few other places, and I kind of agree with Mariina that stability is the nature. The instability is unfortunately a little bit in the nature of the industry, and you cannot help it. There will be sudden surprises, good ones and tragic ones, and if that really goes against your nature, you might have bad time being in the industry. You kind of have to get used to those surprises sometimes, and kind of little bit hope that if you do your work well and you have a nice portfolio, life will carry you if something bad happens. I kind of feel that has happened to me, that I try to do the best work I can, and I hope the other people see it later when I show it to them, and I feel that has been true for me. But yeah, the industry is prone to sudden surprises and you cannot really help it, but it's kind of exciting at the same time.
But is it?
Yeah, sorry. You have to be quite selfish about it. Like if you think about it, like you have to be willing to change jobs, and that's something that you, at certain times in the industry, you have to put yourself first and figure out what's right for you. And especially if the company is in a dire situations that they, for example, can't afford to pay you salaries, you have to really think about what to do at that point. And it's something that I think that it's at that point every man for themselves kind of situation. And I do feel that at Colossal at least we try to have a lot of transparency in this regard. For example, our very first game that came out in 2011 called Cities in Motion, super cool mass transit simulator. I hope you all play it. Super sexy game. The first year for Colossal was really, we had funding for 1 year when we started, for 12 months. And 4 months before we ran out of money, I started to feel slightly panicky that we're gonna run out of money, we're not gonna get a publishing deal. So what I did was that I showed up with a brave face to the office and cried myself to sleep at home at night. And I told the guys that, okay, we're gonna do fine, but we're really in a situation that this might end in 4 months. That we don't have money to carry on, so we have to, and I have to get this deal done. Kind of gave a little boost to the guys to work their best, not crunch, we never crunch, but gave the motivation. And I think certain type of transparency is key in this type of work. And I do feel that if you are kind of entering the game industry, you have to realize the type of industry you're about to enter. That it is something that it's usually, it's very hit driven. Some projects fail, even if you did the best work you can. Projects get cancelled. Some people just don't audience doesn't find the game. It might be a flop. It might be a great game and nobody buys it. And those are the things that are emotionally straining. And at that point, it really matters what kind of team you have around you. That the support and the company's support and transparency. How does that all support your well-being at work? And I think those are important things to also consider when choosing the company you work at.
But according to the situation right now here in Finland, I heard a rumor that it's looking really good. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, well, if you think about 24 years of the Finnish games industry since the establishment of the oldest still existing companies, the situation has never been so stable as it is now. And if you think about all the people working in the Finnish games industry, I think that well over 80% of the people are actually working in the companies which are stable as they can get in the games industry, because there is no stability for eternity in the games industry or any other industries. But this is as good situation as it has ever been when it comes to the stability of the jobs in the Finnish games industry. So what else to say? I agree basically with the figures of the or opinions.
Good. Helli.
Yeah, I was actually well, when talking about games and game industry, you can't really ignore the US. Like we've also talked about it here. And when I look at these numbers, as far as I can remember, they don't look that different from other industries in Finland. And I think that's partially, especially if you compare it to the US, we're really, really lucky, and we should be quite happy that we had such good, like you said, very good laws that protect and help the employees. And I think that really helps to get that safe, stable feeling in companies, even in the game industry.
Good. And at this point, we have to I think we have to quit really soon in few minutes. But I believe that this industry is really evolving, and I'd like to raise a glass to Women in Games Finland. That's now a legal association, which is awesome. Are there any from Women in Games? There, come here. You're member of the board, right? Yeah. Would you like to say something at the end? You have like 1 minute.
I have no idea what to say. I'm just happy and proud to be part of this. Really, that's all I have. Really, to be honest, I'm a member of the board. Yeah, I'm taking care of the partnerships, so that's what to talk to me about. God damn it! I shouldn't have raised my class because I don't really know what to say.
But you had the meeting 2 weeks ago, the founding meeting, so it's really new. And if you don't already haven't joined the Women in Games Finland Facebook group, do it now.
Yeah, it's also open if you don't identify as a woman. You can join. No matter your gender or any other feature you might have.
And we, Game Makers of Finland, will cooperate with Women in Games, definitely, and do some stuff together more often. And now it's... Thank you. Yeah. And now we have to end this, but we have the last voting still. You can vote, and after you vote, you can clap. Oh. So, is Finland the best game country in the universe? What?
You don't have Canada as option.
What's that Finland there?
You don't do the Canada.
Oh.
That's a good answer.
Okay. That's great. Now, thank you all.